The 48-year-old Lukhar Jam Atsok picks up his sons from kindergarten. He takes the older boy's hand in one hand and the younger boy's school bag in the other. It's hard to imagine that he is a political fanatic and has run for the leadership of the Central Tibet administration.
아니 니와디다 이 민티 타위 지니 로 섬라 섬로 당니지 부젠바티키 젠바티키니 카티라 니 섬로 당니 가 섬로 테신 그로아티스 나 낭미 발라지 김비차니 니 낭미 랑겐케리 가리키고 이 치기다 아니 나랑 가리치긴세티 삼점띵이 도나니 레선
Lukhar Jam is from Amdu of Tibet and enjoys a comfortable life in Dharamsala that most exiled Tibetans do not know. But since the birth of his second son, he is considering leaving Dharamsala.
Tati karirezna yagarni ngazu ginampo deva ina. Nge pala ama nicha ge minto ni ngara nicha nanshinchi ni chi matsi keshana maumba na pugu ge ngazu la ikange shekre samgudu. Pugu chigla goami toptang tang ngazu sho kanteni tawe ina kola pugu chigla yakupchi gogu yore. Ni korango kachi zogu hindi zogu me. Yes, my korani go father pala dongti truti ni pugu ni cha dongti shekre. Di mar to ngi dong mang bu she ge doba me.
Tsering Yongzom has been in India for 20 years. He lives alone in Dharamsala now. She has 3 younger brothers. One of them went to America 3 years ago.
Any inji bumudi nijita ngipinga pu lobet chunjura kemi this low game but oreda ani the chiyurta khona kemi dita ngipinga pulpe thambu cheje the sabemba benjima lechilo tange marlesta ko legal ta imbra sabemba nyima chilo mata nang nyima ta tsemba ro ka shaje. Nechene bus tokoroche ani kemedi amadi tis yakurostura ani amadi lado kara didechine yongomare ani karani khagaru khaga chishasholadra logics chelkoni khaga chirta tanda korani logair gipinga pu tanda seatel lesajsta arila nondelair.
Tibetan exiles immigrating to Western countries through marriage isn't a rare case. For example, between January and November of 2004, the District Court of Dharamsala alone had 40 Tibetan men registering with Western spouses. The following 6 months, they averaged up to 2 Tibetan men marrying a Western woman every week.
Nema ina yomar khachilana di kemedi ngazuni che de chijumar khachilana nga ko pinge imha korta mora dele di nga de yora an jel khaga chisa jelata tandero chashana widget page do ani widget na samsung ge shiri ta da nga thus chela nga zuni ge jik story shi gir khajala nge pinga bu inde yoman ta par shi ba ge shi de da andi che go yomar.
but not all cross-cultural marriages can bring about a change in citizenship.
집이 봉우지도 네 가다님도 봐 제발로 돌라 백인은 얘가 또 저제 아니 이거니 가도 네 장사계도 우리 손다.
Perhaps it was fate. Second-generation exiled Tibetan Dorji Sewang studied at the Japan home of the Tibetan Children's Village when he was young. It was very strict, and he left school for good after an impulsive decision to run away from home. After many years, he went to Nepal and became a guide. At that time, he did not understand how important identity and documents are.
아니 내가 갸를 도대체 뭐 바이르 마 진스타 되는 기용 아니 갸를 좀 아니 갸니 야 잘라 셴바이기 야 바이르 칭 바이르 좀 아니 진대데 이거 무시라면에 나 가라 민 아니 누 망아기게 뒤 록바로 지 인디진이 양마지 근데 좀 저게 돼
Dorji Sewang did not have any documents, but it was as if he had a guardian angel helping him. He was able to receive his documents in a month, when it usually takes other Tibetans more than a year.
근데 아이스 소리도 마냥 저기 두두 이런 거 고르라니 진데 라체 안 두두 파르간질라 대체 파르간질라 단디 투리스트인데도 인디비주얼 트래블러 어디 싱가포르 미지도 군들이 아마 계셔 콜라니 아마 라제테 올라블라가 치료지 아니 고치 치료 봐 니 디두가라 배숑기 미 지게미 돈을 남서 자가 되기도 차 아니 내가 교르치 이머지실라는 내가 둘다니 숨 거에 비제 둘다니 숨 거니 둘다 나와 찍스나는 이거 이제 아시도 돼.
However, the good fortune of Dorji Sewang did not follow him to Japan. After several attempts, he ultimately failed to obtain Japanese citizenship.
He failed to be a Japanese citizen, but only for one simple reason that he could have avoided. There was a part where you have to write, which citizenship are you now currently? He wrote Tibetan, but the Japanese authorities said, Tibet is not a country; it's part of China. So you're a Chinese, aren't you? It's a city office in Niigata. That's one of the oldest places you can find. In the 1980s, nobody knew the situation about the Tibetan people in exile. So, but they know that it's part of China. He's born in India as an exile, so it's impossible for him to get a Chinese nationality. He also mentioned, they asked him whether he was a refugee. Where is any documents or any status that can prove to us that you are a refugee from Tibet? India is not a ratified state country for the Refugee Convention of the United Nations. The word refugee doesn't apply in India. So, there's many things that really made this go very wrong. Some part, I feel it's Dorji not explaining and just getting angry and just really blew the whole thing up.
그거 부디기리 굽주고질로 깨지 친구자 굽주고 깨고 그러니 같이 해라 너 닌게 너 구슬려라고 니도 찍으라고 투자가 놀래 겨 놀리디 드니 이걸로 구주스 쳐 드네시는 아니 바이 무 때문에 아니 가자가 되죠 드니 아니 봐주
I called his wife. He said whatever happened to them, between them, is over 20 years. And she doesn't want to get involved. She doesn't want to see him. And one more thing. She said, please tell Dorji that the mother has died. He had a difficult life in Japan, but it's only the mother. He said the mother was very nice to him. His son is now fully grown, but he quit baseball. So Dorji was really bragging about his son playing in a good baseball team. Oh, he's not anymore.
예 부당아 카텐다 로 주비 좁게 주두 주비 저게 주어라. 다 얘네 고라이네 다 밀리지 개발렌지 고라고라 랑구트엔데 이랬습니다. 바라지 요 삼내 되고다. 다란 지고 리사는 이지미지 투고야다 고라기 뒤지 고라기 내가 돌아 비지 예시거래 뒤에 돌아 만 디스트릭 진도면서.
Dorji Sewang lives in the new Aruna area in Delhi, a place known as Tibetan Village. The village is bustling with shops, restaurants, and hotels. At the entrance is a sign written in English that reads, Tibetan Refugee Colony. There are currently about 3,000 exiled Tibetans living here.
당아 마저르린 로직데 제가 로니스고다. 로니 나라당에 그게 내 야르시 대잡리세 먹고요. 지게 곱스레 먹고 건주면 저 디나랑이 총계고 두제. 멕시코도 곱스레다 잉글랜드 어리기 민주 베베밀이지만 같이 단어들에 개교로 점점 개교로 지 전부 내가 다관이 영어 다 점점도 지금 거로 뒤뒤고
Tibetan Village is also an important transportation hub for Tibetans in India. People can take the train or bus directly to Dharamsala from here, or they can go to New Delhi to fly to the rest of the world.
Delhi Lada, Takawa, Lumba Kawayuna, Jala, Yosatik de K, room to go Chabuin and Dakarina, did the Dharamsala to take the Kora. Najil Dharamsa, Kanga, Tuza Yunimendere.
However, according to Indian government documents, Tibetan Village is number 895 pending planning area. It is only a temporary street block. It is like the exiled Tibetans in India, who have been struggling for nearly 60 years in India and still do not know where their future lies. So, in some corners of Tibetan Village, there are ads that claim to guarantee Indian passports for Tibetans.
All persons born in India after 1950 but before 1st July 1987 will be citizens of India. But if you are born after 1st July 1987, then to qualify to be a citizen of India, one of your parents at least must be an Indian citizen. And in 2003, it was legislated that at least one of your parents had to be an Indian citizen and the other was not an illegal migrant. So now the law is much tighter than it used to be.
Although India's Citizenship Act had not changed much in the past few decades, the fact never caught the attention of the exiled Tibetans until 2010. In 2010, 25-year-old Namgyel Dokar caused an uproar by seeking Indian citizenship and passport. With the help of her lawyer, Dr. Raksna Swamy, the Indian Foreign Ministry was brought to court. She eventually became the first exiled Tibetan to legally obtain an Indian passport.
Gyagag mise chunggi yoza nan gyaga nalo nidu ani becha saja chungse la saja nyue ne re ta de gya che cha ru du yana shenge lupru chi ba ne re lopra thwen chawe chela na tholop khashela chelebe tholop yora professional tholop khashela chim lopjon chine re amje lopjon chi chawe chel amje gi laktar che yi ne re mangbu chela gyagag mise mai be na laktar chi chung mare apply to the ngal gangi kharches chuna khoran gi kina pebachres kina phamani pebareshas cheza ani gyagal ke yimbene kina passport thotan yo mares kina gyaga mise mares je ngal labs.
I was shocked to find that she was not granted the passport. Various excuses were given, the worst of which was that you cannot be a citizen of India if you are Tibetan. So we saw no alternative except to serve a legal notice on the government demanding her rights to a passport, and when it was refused on the ground that she was not a citizen of India, we went to the High Court in a writ petition. The High Court after several hearings, passed an order stating that she apply for a passport, and it was for the government of India, if it saw fit, to give her explanation why she was not being granted a passport or grant her the passport. And they gave a period of 6 weeks in which to do this. The government of India did nothing during those 6 weeks. So after a few months, we went in what is called a civil contempt petition.
Tibetans are not known for applying for a passport. When Tibetans apply for passport, like it's not normal for them, No, how is it this possible? They say, no, it's not possible, no. So then you are stuck. So then you have to go to court.
In the end, Namgyal Dokar and Dr. Swami spent 2 years to satisfy the Indian government's citizenship review. In 2010, the Supreme Court of India ruled to give Namgyal Dokar Indian citizenship and an Indian passport.
Delhi ki chedo timshi khayora Delhi High Court ne timda cheche ani morando chashana ani gyagala gichu gebdungi taw chupe se chik ngyola ke sashas ngyola ke sadu ani tsadim gi gonden shisung morang gyaga mise chagores gyaga mise chagi yo tsang ani morang la gyaga mise gi topdang danyam tegores ani topdang di namlo chikdi passport chagores chezan kiranzo mol passport tegoyos dinashi kiranzo ki gyaga mise chigla topdang di mate sang ani kiranzo la cheba phoche koranzo gomonga tongchi koranzo penalty cheba phoche ngazo teo shire an cheza court ngene thuju khade test chuna koranzo ya dawa shi nanglo la ani moran la ani nyu de test hawo yolar check de test hawo yolar.
The Indian media reported this case in a high-profile manner. Namgyal Dokar's passport lawsuit quickly ignited heated debates among exiled Tibetans.
Samsu ta sanganenge ta gochuna yawa ani dela gyabgyo number che yapure phumulo chunjuji phongbu chung ani chimgi shisung dende draw che ani kena chimchi tobare case che tobare che zan pe yapure phongbu chung lange ots chung dinyambo 타 찍도 가과칭에 망부충 언제나 라원 탑주요 라원지 탑주요라 아니 뉴욕기그레스 체잔데 체디 노레스 가과치규랑에 빼망부충 니나시 카시지기 아니 퍼바 수이네 디기레스네 캐나도 차시나 하기리 김장 차오레 하기리나 벽이 초기기 벽이 잼베 동규치레스 잼베 규바치기 갸가미세 슈에디 베탈레 멘제레스 제 람게데 총하라.
Though the laws are there, the government policies are there, but people like us, if we, instead of motivating people or encouraging our cause, get ourselves enrolled as an Indian citizenship, it will not only demoralize the whole fight that His Holiness and the Central Tibetan administration has been struggling. So it will be like some kind of demoralizing the whole issue.
망구치기 ICK, RCK지 파자셔야지 개 요말 장구슈나 탑주치도 내가 마칭에 가지 망부여 RCK, ICK네 수수 미제랑 소화견 댕에된데 수수 또교랑 쌈댕에 가지 망부 제가 녜녜네 가슈고랭이 슈구치 갸가 미세 애플라이 치제가 배번 용어지 차이기 된데 소화자원이는 마숑 제가 디 만다지 군게 제체도 아니 가슈고래.
Taking an Indian passport, taking Indian citizenship means that you are sort of loosening the bonds with Tibet. And it should be so. If you are going to be a citizen of India, then you must be wholeheartedly a citizen of India. You cannot have a divided loyalty.
Although the debate continues, other exiled Tibetans have followed suit. Soon after, a Tibetan acquired Indian citizenship and passport through the High Court of Bangalore. According to the latest census data, about 35,000 exiled Tibetans in India are eligible for citizenship under the Citizenship Act, which accounts for about 1/3 of Tibetans living in India. However, it is a long struggle for every exiled Tibetan who seeks Indian citizenship.
I'm Indian citizen by birth. And Delhi High Court has also given this order, and there is a precedent. He said, no, there was an individual case. You bring your court case, then maybe you will win, and then we will give you a passport. I said, why do we need this?
Lobsang Wangyal was born in India in 1970. He is a journalist and freelance writer. He often reported on his own naturalization struggle to various news websites. In 2015, he began to seek legal aid and eventually won his lawsuit in the Delhi High Court. After 2 years, he attained his Indian citizenship and passport.
My case was not an individual case. We filed a public interest litigation. So it covers everybody, those who were Tibetans born between 1950 and 87, and their children included. A few friends, they contributed, like for example, bus tickets or to pay my hotels in Delhi. They understood what I was doing. Through me, many problems will be solved. I mean, the passport problem for Tibetans will be solved.
However, since Lobsang Wangyal won his lawsuit, the Tibetan in exile community has accelerated in its dissonance. Numerous eligible Tibetans in exile started to submit their applications to the Indian authorities, and disputes over an identity crisis began to surface.
The CTA issued an order to all the Tibetan settlements stating that any Tibetan trying to get an Indian passport, if they need any supporting letters from the settlement offices should deny that. Settlement officers shouldn't apply NOC, no objection certificate.
CTA President Lobsang Sangye or Sengye said, if all Tibetans become Indians, then how would we, legitimize the struggle? And my counter argument is, if this is what you see, then how come you got American citizenship? And not just you, there are others in the Tibetan government who have Indian passport, American passport, Canadian passport. Did they not realize this, that this is hurting the struggle? This double standard is something I cannot tolerate.
The people who's telling these people, be a Tibetan, they're not even Tibetans anymore. The passport, it tells them that they're Americans, they're Canadians, British. There's many Tibetans who envy that, who escaped from Tibet after 1987. What's going to happen to them? They cannot obtain an Indian passport. Now, they have less chance than the Indian-borns.
They're afraid of losing control over the Tibetans. You remain refugees, and because you remain refugees, you remain poor too, because you don't have a lot of opportunities. And the more poor you are, the more dependent you become on CTA, the more control it has on you. Lobsang Sangye tried in 2011 to have a say in the visa matters to Tibetans. This is basically trying to control you, your movement.
Manzula, gyopso raid nyung du re la was. Tanang ta samla ya bosh tang na. Ta thanda lo thukju masim sing zo debre. Gyopso rang shunde deber. Ngarang de la tembu chinne ma tu na khandes chiure. Juma phugya ringbu thone. Samutana khandes yungure. Tanda ngarang zo gya kyapjo na la ne di. Kyamgyu rimbu che thukche wal re. Cheza khede. Ta ngarang zo shingo mi kye ba jela chibadi rangshin chire. Cheza dende yundu khede kyamgyu rim che ma shu ek ne dan chana ngarang zo ne bob di khande chagre.
Lechpat Nagar, in the south of New Delhi, is a multi-ethnic, multicultural area. In recent years, some exiled Tibetans have stepped out of resettlements and refugee camps to gather here. Most of them are young people born in India after 1987. According to Indian law, they are unable to become Indian citizens, but they still strive to break away from the shackles of ethnicity and integrate into Indian society. They are dressed in contemporary clothing, and their unique language is a mix of Tibetan, Hindi, and English.
Interest le dione aw chonggal lobjon de ta sabjon de mangona suchen tanda tuzio ngara de Delhi la travel agency ye anniwa de ngara de gi office travel office nga de galam lajpan nagala travel office ye ba ani maung ba ta travel office ti jachimbu che gi mi do che ta maung ba jachimbu tang wone che chiki di tholta ni ta chik chilo de go junse so chi di chaudu
And Delhi la ni master chisan jela animation la this interest ke ni nge animation this chamber animation jam ne dijela Noida la company chila animator fresher chini lega join chi nge gi tha thanda nge gi corporate office software development company chila ma business development manager chini lega chi yo tanda
마라밍 텐진이시로 안에 나 presently 로숨주이 니동 죽지데 딱 컬러다 식제로 땅에 도체 달릴 익제로 땅 아니 데 겨우shummen가 내가 라스로 아니 니동 중기는 딱 하나부터 currently 단지 내가 친 데려다 뭔디래
You cannot call them just normal Tibetan. I think they have a very high IQ. A lot of Tibetan people may have given an excuse. They said, we can't do that. No, it's impossible for us. But we found these people who said, we can do this. We just have to study harder. We just have to work harder. If you really want to break the wall, if you want to go through, you got to really fight for it.
덴더다 디 컬러 얘도 겨가 슝로 겨가 지조나 내가 줘라 그래서 어디 독도로 지르다 그래서 외견지 된디 있다 로림 열어 외견지 된디 only 20 있다 어디 되다 first come first serve leisure 다 컬러 수 당볼레 exit 로땅 수 information 야보에나 chain 야보에나 다 디라 main on entrance 지어래 exit 데 지고 메어체 아니 나데 다 겨가데 망고라 어디 지고 지간다 컬러 vacancy tunde ba dirda ani endeche yomarda khalore onzu pheni bachore ende khalore gyaga shungi ondi opportunity apotte doctor loshlana.
If you tell them, is the religion going to stop you? No. Is the policies of the CTA going to stop you? No, it's not going to stop us. Why can't we live like normal people? They don't think about how they perform as a Tibetan in exile, living in a colony.
In 2001, Milo Rangzan was fortunate enough to win the visa lottery and move to the United States. Surprisingly, he quickly joined the US Navy and served for 8 years.
One of the reasons why I joined the United States Navy was the promise of quick citizenship. I was 33. It was such a challenge. It was not easy. Greatest challenge of being stateless was you are an object of pity. That sense of statelessness was overwhelming. It was killing me.
Milo Rangzan was 41 years old when he was discharged. Although second-generation exiled Tibetans born in India are generally fluent in English, it is not enough to earn a decent living.
I do several different jobs to survive independently. So one is translation, oral, and I also filing, on-site guidance and translation, over-the-phone translation. It's hard to survive in New York, especially when you don't have professional education.
Although life is still difficult, in the last few decades, those who can travel to Western countries are the luckiest Tibetans in exile. In fact, many exiled Tibetans will do anything to do that. They use fake documents or tell lies in hopes that their fate can be changed. Among them, the worst case was the fake nun case in 2005. The frequent occurrence of such incidences has greatly damaged the reputation of Tibetans.
아시 소리요. 아시 진짜. 아시 무지 고르는 소리. 아이 롱앙아 년인 조서 형만 로 찍지리. 로 맞지지 다 두두고 조리. 다 주면서 메는. Tin jambo shuna ta soso roni sholo logic magion pai tengra hamas sina tengri magina pai ten yagen hingarshens ta nikap chilati tin chinda
dawa sum sngena ma phel jo yingyung nga khande cheres nge ji nga ji kare passport ya an stream zuma ja tne nga pheba haj mangmi sum shi sur sum shi ding nga namju thang haj zong gang chung chu jur dina ni ma ni jur tne nga sa som chu tang shar
passport zuma de lelo se
passport zuma de lelo se yomar 네 그런 배샤 같이 재미해 배샤 고모 트니 트나 되네 그런 써요. 자가라 쓰고 말 더유를 쓰고. 자가로 있는 거 단다 자가라 대실로 정부 인교당의 파망 당교래. 은 법자는 로직 지혜를 나랑 파유 쉬우 tren성. 은 파유 트ren 당한 로야 되바 쉬울래서. 은 로야 되발레 아니가 법자 조두스 되들. 다 자가나가 댕교 삼로나나 다 가래. 가지 소소 잡나 파마도 쓰면은 데데나 데스 가래 데스 갈레도시도. 소소가 별줘야 제대로 가르스나 소소 능미 파요래 파마 파요래 아니 소소야 빈야충어 부 정마 파요래.
랑기 조구나라 랑기 별에 파 로드기 미 하공에리 별에
하고 그 괜히 출내니 근데 봐주니 망보여 가르치는 나 니망 안에 변이 냠돌이니 부지요래 그런 파이로지는 말 강라이죠
그런 랑기 조구나는데 파 로드기 라이도 야고 말에 삼국 땅에 되게
요스 니마 데라 나토 데라 암도미 망보여래 코란소 조인나다 코란소 인나다 변에 소소소소 첩시 강로 내가 소소소 체 당간소 조인은 나란소 낭미 파표려래 그래서 소소소 집보데라 초아게는 백하고 쳐도 되니치 먼저 파표를 줘야 됐어 그래 메일로 차도 예, 파유디 인교 자탕로지요. 근데 간수디 파유디 칼 야르카 인디즘 바 항상 기부요. 야르카 임베 튀라 nga da nga su nangmi khashe jore nga su bu ko ga dur karsi nga phel drona deni deya chashi yu karsi da so de jagala yinji ya u jang tu na 주레스 로지레나 아니 먼저 지 개규르도 지야 미유도 지요 아니 양만나 소소 나르데 참상 결승아 개규르 용만 손나 나랑티 먼저 모자당니 하지 미유도 지요
원시자 아니 나라로 차신다 야갈라디니 미지게다 칼하고 가실래나 기시 낭미지 차오 있네르다 간줄 가고 싶었다 델레 데나다 미즈가자 칸바디 렌텐 로디 워당아죠 라 수술 다야 칸바지 때문에 칸라 치중 많이 봤다 간다만도 미지기 라고 올레 데다가죠 페나랑가 핑게 탄다 니 아샹 요레다 니 핑게 탄다 숨 펠요라 레가 야부치 아니 뉴티사 아니 펠마 kurle khajlana phena midunzola onchine maungpa ta khalor koran스 tis yabucha thune ngarani khalor ngarani gya tangyo de konso gita khalor gyobage migejik seora 별로도나 수수 마ungpa ta khalor khangbainere sajainere 직수술 다 해서 지겨라 어디는 진짜 마ungpa ta ngara tine chigela drotuna kalero yabushka maungpa phel baranja loyak chashi
In Jampaling Elders Home in Dharamsala, There are 48 Tibetan veterans who have served in the Indian Army. Most of them are 80 years old and all alone. These men will continue to grow old here with their physical and emotional wounds.
시비는 당가도 미중투 말아 성사로 심대도 가르서는 나다 배나 오다 나는 로이 첨보리 다시 시스디 자갈 힘이요